everyone, welcome to another Talent Talk. Anika, we're going to talk about India again. Love it. So much going on in India right now.
Absolutely, Lewis. A lot of traction in India at the moment. Many big organizations are coming. I was just talking to you about the Sound of Music show I watched, which was actually a Broadway show, but now in India. So definitely a great year. I would say the next decade is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be India shining. So excited about exciting times ahead.
100%. Population growth, growing middle class, more companies coming there. I think it's great. And I know you shared a few stats with me. There's so many interesting stats. Let's talk about the first one. Because this is great, right? Because, education is so important. It's the cornerstone of so many things. And it's really interesting to hear how so many Indians who were polled are prioritizing education. It's also just worth mentioning. I know you read an interesting article. Who is it by? Just remind me.
It's in the Economic Times, and it's called "The Uncertainty Around Indians Willing to Invest in Upskilling."
Awesome. Well, maybe we'll put the link to that in the
Sure.
in the comments as well. So if anyone wants to read the data behind it, they can do. So how come? I mean, there's so many. I think this is more than other countries as well, isn't it? And I know you shared. What was your earlier stat you shared with me once we were speaking? I think there's a significant amount more people in India that are prioritizing their education versus other countries. Why is that?
Absolutely, Lewis. So in India, it's like 73% people are like now focusing on higher education, upskilling and reskilling. And on the average, it's around 68% of people globally that are focusing on education, upskilling in their current job or reskilling in their current job.
Nice.
I think it could be due to a lot of factors, specifically when we talk about why this has been happening. We should definitely see why all of a sudden everybody wants to upskill themselves. After the COVID era that we all have been through, there has been a little bit of changing times when it comes to the economy. We are focusing more on knowledge-based economy. We are focusing on technological advancements because the uncertainty that has happened in these times has actually taught us a lesson that the shift is going towards more upskilling. If you're not upskilling yourselves according to the new skills in the market, then it will be really tricky for you to stay in the current job.
It's so dangerous for other countries because I think if we look at other countries, and even if I think of the UK, a lot of the time as advances happen, whether it's like the factories closing, even now with AI, I think countries, governments, schools, universities have never been very good at retraining people. You've always seen like there's, like jobs have been like kind of eliminated and people that haven't actually retrained to do the jobs that are needing to be done. Because, like unemployment in many countries is quite low, but there's a lot of job vacancies and it takes companies quite a while to find the right people with the right skills and stuff. And I think with it, this is, representative of the country. There's so many Indian people realizing that they need to train and get the skills for whatever jobs are coming. That's really powerful. And I think you're going to end up, with a very relevant, motivated workforce in India that can do not only jobs in India, but, are going to be able to also maybe be poached by other countries and, they can go around the world and, work for different companies if they want and do that kind of stuff. So I think very, very powerful stuff, I would say.
Absolutely. It's been a volatile situation in the market when it comes to jobs because we know if you're not upskilled according to the advancement in the market, it creates like a hindrance for you to go to the next step, whether it's promotion or looking out for an opportunity. Because as we know, AI, data analytics, these are the fields that have created not just like a buzzword in the market, but new skills and new jobs too. So if people are looking to really work on the next level, they have to be really upskilled, or I would say reskilled too.
Is it expensive? So I think, sometimes a hindrance for people
Yeah.
is having to pay, like they're in work, maybe they can't afford to, go to university or go on that course, or, what's it like in India? Like, is it easy? Is there easy access to education?
Access to education has become cheaper, convenient, and flexible. With the onset of digital economy in India, people are focusing more on digital education instead of the traditional format of education. Like going to an Ivy League might be expensive, but if you have the same course online, it might be a little cheaper because it reduces your commute costs, it reduces your material costs, or books. So it has become really, really easy for people to upskill themselves.
The online learning is incredible, right? They're called like MOOCs, massive online learning communities. There's a few, right? Like I think one of the earlier ones was Coursera, and I think all them. You're right. All the Ivy League universities, if not pretty much, I'd say every university probably offers online learning. Great stat you shared with me the other day: 82% of Indian professionals choose digital learning, which is great, and it also makes learning more equitable, right? You can be in a remote part of a country and attend Harvard University, right? Which is great. You haven't got to pay $90,000 a year just for the tuition fees. Then, having to fly over, live, da 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 da. Suddenly you can do it. You just need a good internet connection. So I think it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. Online learning. I mean, hey, even YouTube, right? Like you can jump on the amount of stuff you can learn on YouTube. Is also incredible. So I think that's it's a great thing, and it's just great to see so many people in India embracing that. Because again, like probably 10 years ago, you would really have struggled to have got the really good lecturers and teachers from some of these universities that you could do now. Like now you have access. So it's also great, like suddenly, like, I don't know, at Harvard, maybe they have 100 in a class, suddenly like the whole world is their market, and you can charge less, and you can, obviously there's quality, and you've got to have all the, assessments and everything, but the fundamentals are there, right?
Absolutely. Like previously, when you had to go to a university, one of the factors was also the networking that you will have on campus with your peers and the professors, everybody, when you're studying. But now, owing to the online education, there are also communities built around that. So if a person sitting in India wants to look for a course and also be part of a community, then that's possible for him or her to communicate with somebody studying the same course in, say, UK or US. So that has also been factored in, and people have started being part of these online communities working on the same course.
I think it's great, and also just the mindset as well, right? Like if you're learning digitally, you're in you're in this digital world. Your mindset is global, digital. Once you start working, maybe you're studying and working. Again, the networking opportunity, right? Like you're meeting people globally. You might be on. I mean, there's just so many amazing benefits, which I think it's interesting. Like I'd like to see the data for how many folks in US or UK are doing it, but I think sometimes the uptake's slower and on new technologies in these types of countries, whereas somewhere like in India, just embracing the the new technologies, which I think is really good. So it's going to stand people in great stead, and I've been trying to do it as much as I can as well. Like there's just so much available now. There's so many ways to learn, right? And so also for like the individual, because a lot of the time when we see employees, it's like they're often waiting for their employer to provide learning opportunities, and many do, but there's so many, you're able to take ownership of your own learning so much. Like there's so many ways to do it, right? Like your company might put on stuff. Like we had a great coach the other day come in, but also every single day you can be looking on YouTube, you can be doing an online course, you can be, you know, there's so many ways to do it. And I think it's a real proactive thing. Like, it feels empowering to be able to, you know, take ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. In this day and age, it's a win-win situation for the employer too, because it improves employee engagement, it reduces attrition, because your employee will not go anywhere if the right opportunity is there in-house to learn and grow within the organization. It improves productivity at a deeper level. You are instilling a culture of learning and growing, and it's definitely leading to innovation within the organization, because when new skills are on board, then the organization is also uh, adapting with this and going to the next step with
Yeah,
the transformation. So I think it is of course available readily, the convenience is there. There are also options of government sponsored schemes if you want to upskill yourself. Many initiatives like Skill India is an initiative where they are in tandem with the government, trying to upskill people. So they were like sponsoring for 75,000 people to upskill themselves. So initiatives like these will really help people. And of course, when it comes to finances, it is convenient because there are a lot of options when it comes to, you can, accordingly pay. Online education is of course cheaper than the traditional format, but there
yeah,
are also options by which you can pay in parts. So I think definitely it has become easier to upskill ourselves. And in this day and age, it definitely instills a growth mindset if you're going for the next step in your career.
100%, 100%. Learning has become more accessible now. You know, it doesn't cost so much. You, again, like, you just need an internet connection. Like, I mean, I think YouTube's wonderful. You know, like, there's a long format video. You know, you could sit down. It's not just a soundbite. You know, like, so many people watch sound bites now. So, oh, I know. I think I know what this person. You know, YouTube, you can go on for like 2 hours, 3 hours. The podcast stuff as well is great. You know, just so much availability to access to education and stuff. And if you have that mindset, it's just really, really a great thing. And for Indians specifically to stand out, you know, like, employers want, like, you want people with that mindset, right? Because again, it just seeps through the organization, right? And if you've got a, you know, a group of people in a company that are always open to or wanting to learn and develop, you're gonna like, the worst thing to hear is, oh, I've always done it like that. Oh, it's always worked for me.
True.
But, you know, just because something's worked for you before doesn't mean it's going to work for you again. And just because it's got to you to where you've got to doesn't mean it's going to get you to where you want to go to. You know, like, you have to have this mindset of, right, you know, keep on pushing. What do I need to know? Where's the market going? I want to learn. And you know, so I think it's such a great thing to have. And if you catch yourself in that mindset of, oh, you know, I know it all, or that doesn't work for my market, or that's always been like that, you know, then you're going to probably, you know, like, take a step back, you know, because you got people that, like we've just described, wherever country they've come from, but with this mindset of, like, soaking up knowledge, accessing everything they can, learning. They're formidable people. They're people you want to hire, you know. And with companies now more global, you know, like we're a fully remote firm now, right? We can hire anyone anywhere on the planet. And we look for people with certain, you know, human skills and mindset and things like that. And these are the types of folks you want.
Absolutely. So I think you're right. And it completely depends on the kind of culture you have within the organization. If you are talking about the employer perspective, there should be straightaway initiatives to incentivize learning, because, as you rightly said, that there are so many people in the firm who would say that it has always worked for me, why should I learn? So for that, incentivizing learning probably will promote culture of learning. And people who don't want to learn would probably want to learn, because it's just not for upskilling, it's just not for advancement in their career, but it has an attribute which will work for them. And I would also say it completely depends on the kind of skills you choose for upskilling. Like, I was just reading somewhere that in India, instead of the soft skills, people focus more on upskilling in technical skills. So AI has the highest percentage. It's around 62% people want to learn AI because of so many tools around, how they can really work around with their own field. The
Yeah.
other highest would be creativity. People really want to upskill themselves in creativity. So it has created a plethora of options for people to upskill and learn with the new age of AI and digital marketing.
But look, to stand out, to really stand out, I mean, if you're sitting in India right now and you're like, I've just done a course on AI and creativity, so is a million other people, right? Or maybe a billion other people. But I think that like, but then imagine layering on top, then, like, you know, you've trained your empathy or your human skills, and you're just, because a lot of the time the difference that makes a difference, I think, is your ability to build relationships, make friends, influence people, empathy, how people, you know, how you make people feel, stuff like that. So make sure, if you're listening to this, make sure you work on your, some people call them soft skills, some people think there's nothing soft about them, they call them hard skills, or I call them human skills, or whatever. But I think that will actually, that will make you stand out above the crowd, you know, because as we said, 73% of Indians are prioritizing education, a little bit less in other countries. So people are on the bandwagon, it seems like. But I think the thing that what we find, certainly what I think when I'm you know, hiring, when I'm interviewing people, and if I think about what's the, like, what are some of the best people have in common, or if I think about the people that are at the top, like, what, you know, and I think it's really these human skills that often set them apart. So don't neglect that. Now, you touched on this just now a little bit, right? The benefits for companies. There's so many. I mean, there are so many. Love to hear your thoughts on it. For me, if I just quickly share mine, I mean, you know, a motivated, educated workforce is powerful. You know, I think education is the cornerstone of many religions, countries, philosophies, and stuff. You know, it's just really strong. So I think if you be able to foster a culture in your organization of, like, keep pushing forward, trying new ways, learning new things, you're not going to be irrelevant, you know, because there's so many crazy big corporate failures. You know, it's like, I know it was Kodak, you know, Kodak, do you remember Kodak, the photography film, big
Yeah.
American firm, you know, American, just, you know, didn't embrace digital photography. Or there was Blockbuster Video. So in the UK, we used to have Blockbuster Video, where it was a shop, and you'd go and you'd rent videos and DVDs. And when I was growing up, you were basically either you went out or you went to Blockbuster. It was just classic. Like, what are you doing tonight? I'm going to Blockbuster to rent a video, to go home, watch a video. They were like the biggest, right? They missed video streaming and they failed, you know. So a couple of examples are just like, or even what happened to BlackBerry? BlackBerry again, you know, the little,
Yeah.
you know, they were like the main phone, had BlackBerry Messenger. They just failed to jump on. So, you know, I think there's some good examples of even big companies where they just get a little bit entrenched in, oh, we're really successful and we're doing great and we've always done like that. And sometimes you miss what's coming. And I think even now more than ever, for me, it's like, even with AI, you know, it was, in fact, I've met a friend yesterday, and I told him about ChatGPT about, I think it was 4 or 5 months ago, and he'd not heard of it before, right? And then we met up yesterday, and he was like, Lewis, literally, since you told me about ChatGPT, I heard it every single day since. You know, like with AI, there's something new every single day, just coming. So it's such a good lesson of just just keep learning, right? Like keep looking at what's going ahead because you never know. So it's a long-winded answer for me. Anika, what do you think?
You're right. If you don't upskill, you miss the bus. So it's really essential for employers also to be part of this bandwagon, because it is a win win situation for them too. You are getting a continuously skilled pipeline of talent. You don't have to look elsewhere for talent if you are upskilling your own employees. There is no risk of skill gap. Whenever there's a new thing coming in the market, your workforce is already trained for it. It creates a sense of employee satisfaction when they are working on something new, learning new on the way. It improves productivity. It definitely fosters employee engagement. So I think it will in turn reduce attrition. So there will be cost saving solution.
You're right. If you need a business case for it, there we go. There we go. Also, look, we try and poach people from companies every single day, right? And
Yeah.
happy people are way harder to move. So if you're investing in your people learning and a bunch of other things obviously as well, but you're right, you'll end up having people that are more likely to stay. I often hear from people, oh, I'm not sure I want to invest in this and that because they're just going to leave, or people leave anyway. I'm not going to bother investing in their training because I'm not going to benefit from it. I've heard that a lot. It's such a bad way to think. Like even if I heard it was this thing. It's like people aren't going to stay with you for their whole career, or some people might. It's like in sport, right? Some players stay for a club their whole career, others stay for a season or two, and it's all good, right? Everyone's a bit different, and it's cool, right? You don't get emotional if someone leaves. You wish them well, thank you for their time. Not everyone's going to stay with you, but you got more likely of a high performing team, I think, if people are feeling like they're moving forward. Maybe someone leaves, fine, but you part as friends. They're going to talk highly of you. They would have learned stuff. You'd have invested in them. They would have appreciated it. So I mean, my mindset's like that, and I think it's a good way to kind of think about it. So done. Anika, anything else to add before we sign off?
Well, my last message to all the employers will be to please invest in people. That's the most profitable asset that you have at hand. And to all the people looking out, I would just say keep learning, keep growing.